Have you ever walked into a room convinced that every single eye was on you, scrutinizing your every move, perhaps even that tiny stain on your shirt? It's a feeling almost everyone experiences, but what if I told you that feeling is largely an illusion? This isn't just a hunch. It's a fascinating cognitive bias known as the spotlight effect, and science has some surprising insights into why our brains play this trick on us. Consider a 2018 study where participants wore something deliberately awkward, say a bright orange shirt, and then entered a public space. When asked later, they estimated a staggering 75% of observers noticed their unusual attire. Yet the actual number, recorded by independent observers, was a mere 12%. Did you know your perception can be so far from reality? What's even more intriguing is a 2021 experiment that extended this to social media. People believed their Instagram stories were intensely scrutinized by 80% of their followers, but actual engagement rates painted a different picture, showing only 10–15% truly paid attention. Conversely, a reverse spotlight study asked people to describe others' clothing in a group, and most failed to notice even obvious details like a bright red hat. Our brains, it turns out, are far more self-absorbed than we realize, and the implications of this are quite profound. Now, here's where it gets truly mind-blowing. The spotlight effect isn't constant. It changes with your situation. But the really interesting part is coming up, and it challenges everything you thought you knew about social anxiety. Think about a time you felt completely alone, perhaps as a new student in a large lecture hall. In these moments of isolation, people tend to vastly overestimate how much others notice their mistakes or perceived flaws. Yet paradoxically, when you're actually embedded within a group, especially a larger one, you often become completely invisible to the individual scrutiny you fear. Isn't that a fascinating twist? You're less noticed precisely when you think you're most exposed. This isn't just about individual experience, it's cultural too. A 2020 Harvard study uncovered a counterintuitive finding. People in collectivist cultures, like Japan, experience the spotlight effect about 30% less than those in individualist cultures, like the US. This difference stems from social norms that prioritize group harmony and collective identity over individual self-consciousness. So, next time you feel that intense gaze, remember, the spotlight might just be a trick of your own mind. Understanding the science is one thing, but applying it can lead to incredible personal transformation. Let me tell you about Alex, a 28-year-old who spent a decade avoiding public speaking, paralyzed by the fear that every single person would judge his every tremor. He imagined 1,000 eyes magnifying every perceived flaw. Does this sound familiar to you? After discovering the science behind the spotlight effect, Alex started practicing a perspective swap exercise, which we'll discuss soon. The shift in his mindset was profound. He eventually gave his first TEDx talk, a monumental achievement for someone who once couldn't utter a word in front of a small group. And the outcome? He later discovered that 90% of the audience hadn't even noticed his shaky hands. Imagine that freedom. Similarly, Lena, a dedicated teacher, used to obsess over her appearance before class. Convinced her students were meticulously cataloging her bad hair days or outfit choices. It was draining her energy and focus. Once she grasped this principle, she realized her students were far more focused on her engaging lessons than on her hair. Her confidence soared, and with it, her classroom engagement became more vibrant than ever. These stories highlight the immense power of recognizing this cognitive bias. But now, let us look at this from a completely different angle, one focused on immediate action. You've learned the why. Now let's dive into the how with 3 powerful exercises you can implement today to reclaim your confidence. This is where you move from understanding to truly shifting your experience. First, try the 30-second self-check. Before any social event or challenging situation, take just 30 seconds to ask yourself, what's the one thing I'm most worried about being judged for right now? And honestly, How likely is it that someone will actually notice it? The truth is, the probability is less than 10%. Secondly, engage in a perspective swap. Imagine you're a stranger in the room, observing everyone else. Write down 5 things you notice about others. You'll quickly realize that most people are far more preoccupied with their own internal world than with you. Finally, try the mirror challenge. Stand in front of a mirror and simply say aloud, "Everyone else is too busy with their own lives to focus on me." Repeat this for 30 seconds. This isn't about magical thinking. It's about retraining your brain to internalize a verifiable truth. These exercises are simple, yet profoundly effective in dismantling the illusion of constant scrutiny. The spotlight effect isn't just a psychological quirk. It's deeply embedded in our biology and history. What if I told you your brain is wired to make you feel this way, but it's using an outdated survival tactic? At the neurological level, the spotlight effect is linked to our mirror neurons, those fascinating brain cells that activate both when we perform an action and when we observe someone else performing it. This makes us hyper-aware of potential judgments from others, constantly trying to anticipate reactions. However, here's the crucial twist. These same mirror neurons are equally active when we observe others, meaning we are, in turn, just as oblivious to their perceived flaws as they are to ours. Think about it for a second. From an evolutionary perspective, our brains evolved to assume everyone was watching us. In tribal settings, this was a vital survival tactic, preventing us from making mistakes that could lead to social exclusion or danger. In modern life, however, this mechanism is largely a glitch, not a feature. There's even an economic twist. The spotlight effect drives what's called status consumption, buying designer brands or expensive items to feel seen or impress. Yet research consistently shows that 90% of people don't even notice your brand choices. So why spend the money? There's more to uncover about this fascinating aspect of human perception. Prepare for some truly mind-blown moments that will forever change how you view social interactions. You've been operating under a false premise, and understanding this will set you free. What you are about to learn will surprise you. Mind-blown moment number 1. You are truly the only one in the room with the spotlight. Everyone else is hyper-focused on themselves, not you. Think about it. How many times have you genuinely noticed someone's awkward laugh, a small spill on their shirt, or a momentary stumble? And even if you did, how quickly did your attention shift back to your own thoughts and concerns? Chances are, they didn't even realize you saw it, just as you often believe others are fixated on your minor mishaps. Our internal monologue is a constant, self-centered narrative. Mind-blown moment number 2. The spotlight effect is actually worse in small groups. A 2019 study revealed that people in groups of 3 to 5 are 5 times more self-conscious than those in crowds of 20 or more. Why? Smaller groups can feel more judgmental due to increased social pressure and the perceived intensity of individual interactions. You might assume anonymity in a crowd lessens the effect, but it's the intimate setting where our self-consciousness often peaks. This insight alone can transform your approach to different social environments. Sometimes understanding requires a new lens, a different way of looking at a familiar concept. Let's use some metaphors to make the spotlight effect truly resonate and click into place for you. Have you experienced this? Imagine your brain is like a magnifying glass. When you turn that magnifying glass inward, focusing on your own flaws, mistakes, or perceived imperfections, they appear colossal, overwhelming, and impossible to hide. But when others look at you, without the benefit of your internal magnifying glass, those same perceived flaws are seen as tiny specks, if they're noticed at all. They lack the intense focus and emotional weight you give them. Another powerful analogy is the theater of life. Picture it. Every single person in the world is starring in their own elaborate, all-consuming stage production. They are the lead actor, the director, the set designer, and the critic of their own personal drama. You are not the center of their stage. You're simply a spectator in someone else's vibrant, complex, and deeply personal show. You have your own show to run, your own script to follow. This perspective shift can be incredibly liberating, reminding you that most people are simply too busy with their own narratives to cast you in a starring role in theirs. This isn't just another "don't worry, be happy" message or generic motivation. This video is about scientifically dismantling a fundamental cognitive bias that holds countless people captive. We're not just talking about positive thinking. We're providing you with researched insights and actionable strategies to rewire your perception. The spotlight effect is a powerful illusion, but illusions, once understood, lose their power over us. By grasping the science, the real-life transformations, and applying the practical exercises we've discussed, you can move from a state of social paralysis to one of genuine power and liberation. Imagine the freedom of living your life, pursuing your passions, and engaging with others without the suffocating weight of imagined scrutiny. This journey is about reclaiming your mental space, your energy, and your authentic self. It's about recognizing that the stage lights are primarily shining on your own internal world, and everyone else is just as occupied with theirs. What do you think? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your perspective is valuable and can help others on their journey.